Hello everyone, today I will be defeating Elden Ring while only using a shield, and this video will include all remembrances from the base game, as Shadow of the Erd Tree will be made in a different video. The two shields I used offensively were the Spiral Horn Shield as well as the Coil Shield. The Spiral Horn Shield has a base bleed buildup, and the Coil Shield can cause poison, helping with this build's lack of damage compared to actual weapons. To start this playthrough, I grabbed a lot of different golden seeds and sacred tears, as well as the Academy key, and the two shields mentioned as they are available without defeating any bosses. I proceeded to run to Raya Lucaria Crystal Tunnel in order to fight the Crystallian to upgrade the Spiral Horn Shield. This fight is very simple, as if its poise is broken once, it can be repeatedly hit, not allowing the boss to get any attacks off. After this, I ran to grab various remaining golden seeds and sacred tears in Altus Plateau, as well as the smithing stone bell-bearing 2, allowing me to buy various upgrade materials needed throughout the run. I acquired the somber smithing stones before Godskin Noble in Volcano Manor, giving me a +6 coil shield and +12 spiral horn shield, allowing the damage to be more than enough for the bosses ahead. Before I fight the first boss, I cheese both the Knight's Cavalry and Dragon Burrow by making him jump off the bridge, as well as Grail, which is possible with our status effects on the shields we have. I finally decided to fight Margit, the first main boss in this game. Although it is a sloppy fight, with the first attempt not ending how I'd like, I decided to use the Coil Shield, as this damage is just superior to the other shield I have, allowing me to take him down second try and progress closer to my first Remembrance boss. Before going through Stormveil Castle, I ran to See the Water Cave in order to acquire another talisman, which is the Kindred of Rot's Exaltation, allowing my character to do more damage when an enemy is inflicted with poison or scarlet rot. This fight takes many attempts, yet once I realized to not allow them to be as mobile and keep them on one side of the arena, it allowed for stance breaks, which made the fight a lot easier. I ran back to Stormveil Castle to take on Godric the Grafted, the first Remembrance boss I fought within this challenge. This boss is very simple for basically any build, as he is quickly sent into second phase, and after multiple Ashes of War from the Coil Shield, the first Remembrance boss goes down, while only using one flask throughout the fight, showing this boss is one of the least difficult I will encounter. With already acquiring the Academy Glintstone Key, I ran straight to Red Wolf of Radagon, which is another simple fight as a result of the lack of HP this boss has, going down in only a couple of melee attacks and Ashes of War, allowing myself to take on the next Remembrance boss, Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. Within first phase, I was not able to one-cycle the health bar, so after some time, she eventually enters second phase, which is when the fight really starts. After a lot of delaying on the boss's part, by calling in multiple summons and using the moon attack, she still goes down on the first try. I then ran through Caria Manor to take on Ghost Loretta, which at this point of the game should be a simple fight, yet after some close calls, the boss goes down, allowing this character to access Estelle way later within the challenge. The portal for Radahn's fight has been unlocked as a result of going to Altus Plateau, which means it's now time for Radahn. To start the fight, I summon multiple NPCs in order to have extra damage to make the fight go slightly faster. Radahn's health bar goes down quickly within the first phase, yet as the fight goes on, it becomes more and more difficult in order to find opportunities to get off attacks without trading. After some very close calls, he goes down first try, marking the third remembrance boss within this challenge. I proceeded to run through Seofa River to grab a golden seed and make it easier later in the run to acquire a certain talisman. I went back to Raya Lucaria Academy to grab Glintstone Wetblade, which allows me to infuse the Spiral Horn Shield with Frostbite, helping with what will be a lack of damage. I decided to get the Ritual Sword Talisman. This talisman boosts attack power at full HP, which is locked behind a demi-human queen. And this fight ends very quickly while only getting hit twice. I then proceeded to unlock the area for Mohg by doing Vare's quest, which involves taking out Magnus. Although it wasn't the cleanest fight, the coil shield is very good against NPCs, at least a lot better than I thought a shield could be. I ran through Mohgwyn Palace, picking up various different runes and upgrade materials, as well as fighting Nameless White Mask, which will drop the White Mask after he is defeated twice, and this helmet increases attack power when blood is lost within the character's vicinity. I then went to Volcano Manor in order to fight Godskin Noble, which will allow me to upgrade my coil shield to plus 10 after I acquire the Somber Smithing Stone 7. This is one of the toughest fights up to this point, and after using almost all of my flasks, I finally take him down. This is when I realized some fights are going to take a lot longer than normal as a result of not many damage windows. After this, I upgraded my weapon to plus 10, making it as strong as it can be. I decided that Millicent's prosthesis would be a helpful talisman when using the Spiral Horn Shield, as that is used for normal melee attacks opposed to Ashes of War. I go fight Commander O'Neill to start the quest, and although there are a lot of enemies in this fight, with good spacing and awareness as to where they are, he goes down first try. Then I went to Shaded Castle to grab the prosthesis and ran to Windmill Village to fight a Godskin Apostle, which is a simple fight due to the damage that is now able to be done with a fully upgraded weapon. I then take out Millicent rather than waiting till later to grab the talisman, resulting in me acquiring Millicent's prosthesis. Feeling well equipped, I started running towards the capital to take on Draconic Tree Sentinel, which is needed to gain entrance to Leyndell. The first attempt goes just as planned, with Coiled Shield's Ash of War doing more than enough damage to poison him quickly and slowly drain him from there. Second phase takes patience since some of his attacks don't have openings to retaliate, yet after some time, he finally goes down. After running through the capital, I reach Godfrey Shade, and this boss is immune to status effects, which makes this fight take longer than I would like, as a result of no bleed, poison, or frostbite applying to the boss. Even with this being said, this boss is one of my favorites within the whole game. After strafing some of his attacks, and doing some jump attacks when he did a ground slam, he goes down on the first attempt. After this is Morgott the Fell Omen, which will unlock Mountaintops of the Giants, allowing this character to progress to many different areas. I thought this fight would be difficult because of his very quick attacks and long combos. Yet, I found openings to use the coil shield, and although the poison does barely any damage, it adds up over time to make this fight just a little bit easier, and he goes down first try, showing the power of this shield when used offensively. Having unlocked a talisman slot from Godfrey Shade, I went to the subterranean shunning grounds to get the Lord of Blood's exaltation as well as the Frenzied Flame ending. I first hit the skip to get through the catacombs quicker and fight Sewer Moog. This fight takes multiple attempts as he has a lot of health and is immune to all status effects, making the coil shield not as powerful as previous fights. This was some good warm-up for the real Moog fight later, as that fight will take a good amount of time as well. After some good dodges as well as RNG, he goes down, unlocking the lowest part within the capital. After successfully completing the parkour down the various beams and platforms, I reach where the Flame of Frenzy resides and enter the cutscene in order to have the ending for later. Then I ran to get a talisman I wanted, which took many attempts due to the dogs not giving me any space. Yet once they are taken down, the fight becomes a whole lot easier, and Esger is taken down only after a couple hits, receiving a talisman that I need later throughout the game. I proceeded to run through the mountaintops and acquire the smithing stone bell bearing and the remaining golden seeds, as well as sacred tears to have max flasks from this point on. Next is the fire giant, which has an insane amount of health, but with the 3 status effects we have, as well as multiple staggers, this boss does not take as long as anticipated. Second phase, he does his normal moves of running away and making the fight drag on, yet he goes down on the first attempt, and another remembrance boss is defeated. Since Melina left me as a result of taking on the Frenzied Flame, I burn the Erd Tree myself and get sent to Crumbling Farum Azula afterwards. I progressed to Godskin Duo, but decided to defeat Nile first so I can access the Halleck Tree. I am not completely sure as to why the footage for these fights is laggy, yet I had to include these bosses as some of these were the most difficult fights throughout the run, yet it will return to normal. Nile's moveset is very satisfying, yet the first 2 enemies take some time to get rid of, and after that it becomes a whole lot easier. Even though it wasn't a clean fight, he goes down on the first attempt, allowing myself to fight Loretta and Melania later within the playthrough. I decided to do the optional bosses at this point rather than progressing through the main bosses, so I ran through the crater created by Radahn and reached Regal Ancestor Spirit. This fight seemed to be very simple, yet after multiple heals from the boss, he eventually goes down in a drawn-out fight. I progressed through Ranni's questline in order to access Estelle. This boss is very easy after playing so much Night Rain, allowing for stance breaks and going down on the first attempt. I then do all of the necessary steps in order to reach Lich Dragon Fortisax, another remembrance boss. The poison works very well for this boss, slowly chipping down its health, and even with the constant lightning strikes and death blight within the arena, this boss goes down quickly. Loretta is the next boss on the list, which would unlock a talisman as well as the toughest boss within the base game. This fight takes some patience, as her jump attack can take down my entire health bar if not dodged correctly. So after the attempts in which I learned this, she goes down shortly afterwards. I then went to the Site of Grace closest to Melania and picked up the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. I finally had to go back to what I was dreading doing, which was Godskin Duo, as this fight took close to an hour worth of attempts. This fight would take close to 8 minutes as a result of the low damage and being wary of both enemies and trying to keep my distance. Eventually, after some stance breaks while using the Spiral Horn shield, when they try to summon another one in, I am able to isolate them and defeat this boss, marking this playthrough one step closer to defeating the game. I upgraded the other main shield I've been using to plus 25, and with Shard of Alexander available, I progressed Alexander's questline in order to acquire it, which will allow the Ashes of War to do a lot more damage, very helpful for the coil shield. Next, I decided it is time to fight Rykard, as I won't be getting a lot more items to make me more powerful throughout the playthrough, so I thought, now or never. This fight was easy in the first phase, yet once second phase hits, it requires more patience as well as positioning to actually be able to hit the boss with this small shield. After learning where to position myself, I can efficiently get all 3 status effects active, which makes the fight actually doable, and after a 7-minute fight, the boss is finally defeated. Having defeated all of the optional bosses besides Placidusax, Mohg, and Malenia, Placidusax seemed to be the next one on the list. This boss fight was pretty difficult because of his teleporting and his special move, which covers a majority of his arena, making it very difficult to dodge unless positioned correctly. After some attempts, he didn't even do his special move, allowing for a stance break and a bleed proc to finish one of the tougher bosses within the playthrough. Malakath is the next essential fight needed to progress to the Ashen Capital, and Beast Clergyman proves to be harder than Malakath himself, as once first phase is dealt with, the next part of the fight surprisingly becomes easier. Switching between shields to take advantage of the status effects at my disposal, taking this boss down on the second attempt. At this point, I wanted to leave Malenia and Mohg for later, so Gideon is up next. Staying very close to this boss and timing your hits in order to not allow him to get any attacks off is the strategy I used, and as a result, he goes down thanks to the small shield's quick moveset. Godfrey is immediately after this, and this fight seems very simple for a variety of builds, as his moveset gives clear openings in the first phase. And even with the pace increasing when he changes to Hoaraloo, I was still able to find opportunities for Ashes of War and switch to the Spiral Horn Shield, as I am more comfortable being close to this boss. This boss goes down in the first attempt, allowing me to fight the final main boss within the game. Yet before that, I wanted to defeat Mohg, which proved to be very difficult due to the very low base damage of the weapons I am using, basically having to depend on the status effects to do some reasonable damage. After 5 minutes, Mohg finally falls, unlocking the DLC for this character, which will be made a separate video. Knowing that Elden Beast is immune to status effects, I needed a shield that did a lot of base damage opposed to status effects, so I grabbed the Great Jar's Arsenal Talisman in order to be able to use the Fingerprint Stone Shield and heavy armor to make the final fight significantly easier. Radagon proved to be the more difficult fight of the two, as it was challenging to find openings with this bigger shield due to the slow moveset. Yet once we get to Elden Beast, even with getting hit a lot of times, Elden Beast gets stance broken right before his health bar is depleted, setting up a great finish to the mandatory bosses within base game. Last but certainly not least is Malenia, Blade of Miquella. Yet I first traveled to the DLC to grab the Dueling Shield and equip Cragblade Ash of War with Cold Affinity, which will make this fight seem possible compared to the low damage of the other shields I have been using. Afterwards, I farmed a Fire Knight for its helmet to get a small HP, stamina, and equip load boost, and considering that some of my attacks will be counter damage, I equipped the Spear Talisman and started to fight Malenia. After around 40 minutes of attempts, in which multiple of these attempts took her to second phase, I finally got into a rhythm, having multiple stance breaks, which allowed for massive damage for a shield build. I will let you see the rest of this fight unedited to see how I approach Melania, and although it isn't perfect, it is enough to defeat her. Thank you for watching this video. I also live stream on various different platforms such as TikTok, Twitch, and Kick, and the links are in the description, doing various different challenges separate from the videos that are being made. If there are any ideas for more Dark Souls or Elden Ring challenge runs, comment them down below, and maybe soon I will try to complete it. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.